And let me be, if not the first, let me be one of the people who early in the season who wishes you a very, very happy and a very genuine and a very giving Christmas in the time that lies ahead. We've only got 8 weeks to go, fewer than 8 weeks, and we're at Christmas, so we're beginning to think that. Eoin, you're very welcome. Eoin Devlin joins us from Newry Mourne District Council, and he's the Assistant Director of Environmental Health. It's a busy patch that you have to cover.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, we cover all sorts of aspects that affect people's lives: food hygiene, health and safety, consumer safety, pollution, noise, water pollution, air pollution.
You're there all the time.
Wide and varied remit.
Recently, you blew the whistle on Camla Lake. I remember when we had the algae there at the height of the warm spot.
Yes, one unfortunate side effect of the good summer.
Yeah. Well, another unfortunate side effect of the good summer, and I congratulate you and the council. With Graham down at Ground at the coffee spot on the canal, we saw this odious, awful mess of, we thought, pollution. We didn't know what it was. So we took the trouble to get some of it and then bring it up to you. And I think we left it with you at noontime or thereabouts. And by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we had a call saying that it wasn't serious pollution. It was a consequence of the weather. It was an algae bloom.
Yes.
And that was it. So you get things done up there.
Well, we like to know. I know we can get criticised, but we like to do our best now.
Yeah. Well, now short of collecting lots and lots and lots and lots of corks from the wine drinkers of the world, of this part of the world, I'm not sure what we can do about the dog poo that we find a problem. And you're launching a dog fouling a campaign to try and sort it out and make sure it doesn't happen again. But people, are they listening?
Well, we think, we hope they're listening. We try to encourage responsible dog ownership. I mean, there are over 5,000 dogs licensed within Newry Mourne. We would understand there's probably an awful lot more dogs than that as well. There's all sorts of issues with dogs. One of the major ones, and it's one that we continue to get lots of complaints about, and the elected members will continue to raise in the council chamber, is the problem of dog fouling.
Yeah.
It's a blight on, it's not just Newry Mourne, but it's a blight in the whole of Northern Ireland and further afield. But it's something that we continually want to do something about. And for that reason, we're starting a campaign. I mean, we have an ongoing campaign of education and patrols, but we're starting a campaign this week where we're putting we've had a poster designed, and it's going on across the district from Crosswood Lane right to Kilkeel.
This is the poster, of course, yes.
And it'll be on bus shelters and on phone boxes.
Yes.
Now, in accordance with that, we also have, along with that, we have enforcement patrols. We'll be putting the patrols during this time close to where these signs are, and we'll be asking people's opinion if they think it's getting the message across. The patrols we have people out on the ground, hopefully visible. I mean, they're dressed to be visible.
Yeah.
And it's not a case of just hiding behind bushes trying to catch people. What they're supposed to do is go out and talk to people, ask them check if the dog's licensed, ask them have they got something to pick up after the dog, and if they have, I mean, tell them it's good and encourage that. So it is an ongoing battle. Now, we aren't the worst actually. Whatever people may think, we aren't the worst. Tidy Northern Ireland did a survey recently, and out of 23 councils that they surveyed for dog fouling, we were actually 23rd. As in, we were the best out of the 23. But we can't be complacent. I mean, it's an ongoing battle, and it's about changing the attitudes of people who don't pick up after dogs to make them make that step.
I think it's important to remember as well that dog foul, the excrement of dogs, contains the Toxicara virus, and children can pick this up by playing in the grass, and
yes, I mean,
eye blindness can come from it.
That's very true, and we would notice as well that some of the areas we get a lot of complaints about are along the front of schools. For instance, on Chancellor's Road and the Mayo Bridge, there's areas obviously that are along the front of schools that people tend to walk dogs. So as you can imagine, children coming out in the morning, running in, they're not looking where they're going. Yeah. People with buggies. It's just, it's very,
taking it all over
whatever
the
about the health aspect, it is very distasteful.
Yeah. Some areas are worse than others. I hardly would think that they would have dog fouling on the Rathfriland Road or the Dublin Road or Rostrevor or Killowen.
I think it affects all classes and creeds.
Really?
Yeah, it does seem to.
You get carelessness right across the spectrum.
Certainly, we would see, and when we're targeting patrols, we look at where the areas are, and it's everywhere. We tend to target obviously busier places. I mean, Warren Point being the sort of jewel in the crown of Newry Mourne and being a very popular.
It's also the jewel in the crown of dog cack.
Well,
And the Warren Point people will tell you that
they'll
all the
tell us
time.
that, and
They wring their hands and they cry from the rooftops.
well, for a number of years we've been targeting a lot of patrols there.
Yeah,
We would understand the difficulty. It's very difficult for the officers to catch people in the act, or the dog in the act, because the dog has to be with the person.
yes.
A dog's been let out of the house and let and go away on its own.
Yeah.
That's a dog strain offence, which we have dog wardens who also look at those sorts of offences. But the offence of fouling, it's the person allowing the dog to foul. So I say it is an ongoing battle.
What happens in, say, Warren Point if a fellow, as I've seen them do, take the dog down to the beach to allow it to do its thing at the low tide mark? Is that still an offence?
No, that's still an offence, yeah. And we would look to speak to those people. As I say, our numbers are increasing for dog fouling. We tend to catch a lot more people from litter, particularly littering out of cars, because the difficulty our officers have is, you can understand, it can be a confrontational situation.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it takes a lot of nerve to approach somebody with a Rottweiler or some big fierce dog to challenge them. And so if people, we can challenge people, but if they refuse to give us their name and address, although that's an offence as well, we still don't know who they are to pursue that offence. So we catch a lot of, I mean, fines. The fine at the moment for dog fouling is £50. In the new year, we hope to create what's called a dog control area for the whole of Eoin, which will allow us to put that fine up to £80.
Yes.
Now, if people do, that's a fixed penalty fine, and there would be a reduction on that if they pay it promptly.
Yeah.
Down to £60.
What about the maximum fine of 2,500?
Well,
what does that mean?
That's the maximum fine that would be available in the magistrate's court if you're taken to court. But generally, the way we try to deal with them is by a fixed penalty.
Yeah.
Those fixed penalty receipts can come back to us to allow us to mount this sort of campaign.
Yeah.
So it's not at a cost to the ratepayer.
Yeah. You see, I'm slightly at a loss as to how it will work effectively, because, as you say, if you have a wee man or a wee woman as a dog warden going up to someone with a Rottweiler or a huge creature, it's a one-sided argument.
Well, with the patrols, we tend to have people in pairs.
So two go.
Yes, I mean, they're obviously more visible then, because part of it is the education, part of it is that the people see that we're mounting these patrols, and that they're there to talk to people. So it would normally have them in twos, which makes it easier to approach people. But it is, I mean, it's a hazard of the job, and I suppose recruitment-wise and experience-wise, they know that's what they have to do. And I mean, we take their personal safety very seriously, and obviously they're advised if the conversation develops that they just
walk away from it.
Yeah.
You know. But if a fellow is caught with his dog cacking, and he then says, "Look, I'm dreadfully sorry. I beg your pardon. I won't do it again. And hold on my bag. I have something here. Well, I have a handy Andy here," and he lifts into the handy Andy. Will he still be done?
No, he wouldn't be done in that case.
If he shows good,
if he shows well, but
heart.
Generally people who do that will not have something.
Yeah.
If somebody drops litter in the street, they get an opportunity to pick it up.
Yeah.
Usually with dog fouling, it's not that straightforward. It's that if they've got nothing to pick it up, which is generally a plastic bag of some sort, then they don't get any sort of a.
Oh, and it's so easy. It's so easy to do, to pick it up. It's
well,
not a difficult thing.
I mean, it is an attitude that people have, and I mean, we do try to get the message across. My personal opinion is that people who don't pick up after their dogs, it's very, very difficult to get them to change their ways. Possibly a fine's the only way, but then again, they may feel that, well, I've been caught once.
But I'm having difficulty getting my head around a mentality that wouldn't wish to clean up after his dog or her dog.
I mean, that would be my opinion too, but it's definitely out there, and I mean, we've all seen the evidence.
Yeah. When does the campaign start?
The campaign has started yesterday.
Yesterday?
So people should be seeing these posters up, and I mean, and we're very welcome for anybody's comments. As I say, we feel they're quite eye-catching. They're not in the normal council colour scheme, but that was nearly a deliberate ploy to make them very visible. And as I say, we will be doing some sort of evaluation. So we'll be asking people, we'll be putting we'd have a student, environmental health student, so she'll be going out and asking people what to think of the message, because, I mean, we want to learn from this. There's no point in us doing this if it's not effective. So we want to know that people think it's a good way of getting the message out.
But Eoin, it's a good way forward. It is the sensible way forward, the correct way forward. And folk out there with us here in this part of the world, in Uri and Mourne, we ask very, very little of you in this matter. It's easy to carry a plastic bag with you, and there's sort of other things you can get as well. But it's about pride, isn't it, in our place?
Well, it's about pride in the area, and I mean, Uri and Mourne's a beautiful area, and we like to attract tourists. And you don't want people leaving with an impression that, well, sure, that place, there's litter everywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, I suppose it's very easy. The council get criticised regularly about this, but I mean, the council spend millions every year sweeping the streets.
They do.
In the end,
They
you know,
do.
it isn't us who drop the litter.
Yeah.
We're tasked with both
Oh, I
picking it
see.
up and catching the culprits.
I see so many people. Well, you see the evidence. The car is there. The door of the car has been opened and the stuff has been dumped on the street. The car drives off.
Well, I mean, I just for anybody who's watching who thinks they can get away with that, any of the council officers could be sitting behind you in traffic.
Yeah.
Your number plate will be taken and you'll be fined.
You'll be done.
And
And rightly so.
That's at the moment. That's an £80 litter fine,
Yeah.
and I mean nobody wants that.
I think you've found at last the real answer to this, and let's drive it home now. And good luck to you.
Okay,
And
thank you,
thank you for coming in.
No
Good
problem.
luck.
Thank you.
All the best. We shall have some music now, Dee.